Hey everybody, it is the Monster Maverick Show with me, Neil. I am your host, and this is April 19th, 2022. I'm gonna make sure my stream is on, my recording is on. That looks good. Dream Rider is here. Yeah, welcome everybody. Uh, and this is the Monster Maverick Show. This is the show all about the Splinterlands, but from the investor kind of monetary perspective rather than the gameplay. We got Warren, we got Michael, we got Fat Jimmy. Yeah, quite a few people. This is so different. Splinterlands TV is the official streaming effort by Splinterlands. So back when I started this show, like 3 years ago, it was all on a random Discord server that was tangentially related to some of the people in Splinterlands, like Aggroed and Rondon. They had this other thing, MSP Waves thing, and that was good, but it was totally free for all, and there was no coordinated effort. And now we have this. We have Splinterlands TV. We got people streaming, all day, almost all day, every day. I think there's still some vacant spots, but it's just great to see everybody here and participating. It's a nice thing. Pitman, yes, welcome. I for those of you who haven't heard me before, why should you listen to me about anything related to Splinterlands? So I am one of the day one Splinterlands people, and if we exclude Aggroed, because I think we should, I'm at least last I looked, I still had the largest Splinterlands collection. For any individual. These days there are these guilds, there's YGG and some of these other guys. They have maybe more in total, but for any one person, I think I still have the most. And so I've been here the whole time, through the ups, through the downs, and we've made out pretty well over the last several years. There were some times that was struggling, but a couple 100,000 people changes that right around. So I feel like I'm qualified. Also, my day job, I'm a financial guy. I do tax preparation, tax advisory for a living. Yesterday was tax due day here in the U.S. So I'm like, recovering. I'm in recovery mode. Let's call it that. I've barely been able to put two sentences together today, but hopefully that won't be too big a problem here in this hour. I'm also half the team behind X Chaos. That's this orange chaos logo kind of thing in on the bottom left of the screen. That is our Chaos Legion pack pool that we put together before the launch of Chaos Legion. So everybody who bought one of those was entitled to a Chaos Legion pack, as well as all the future airdrop value. So the way we're doing that is because we have non-fungible tokens that cannot be subdivided. What we're doing is we're taking all of our airdrops, both SPS and cards, selling them on the market for DEC, and then distributing the DEC daily. So everybody who owns an xChaos token in their Hive Engine wallet, they get a payout every day of DEC, and the amount changes, but it's it's slowly paying out. And then as we get another airdrop, we'll sell those cards into the market, and then the process will continue as long as we have airdrops. It's looking like when we first started that, we thought it was a strong possibility that we would have a day one sellout of of Chaos Legion because the market was super hot just overall in crypto, and then but the market turned. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but Bitcoin went from 69,000 down to 30 or so. So market sentiment changed overall in crypto, including in Splinterland. So we did not have a day one sellout. We did sell a bunch on day one, but it wasn't a sellout. And then so we're going through the airdrops, and here we are. We're about 100 days from the end of the SPS airdrop. In fact, let me see if I can bring up my my browser here, and we can look at. I think it was like 99 days or something. We're on day 267 of 365. So yeah, about 98 days remaining. And Gipful, do I still like the tax business? I do. I actually really enjoy doing taxes, but that's people think I'm nuts. But I help people keep their money away from the government, and I find that very satisfying. To my personal ideals. Um, you know, my own two hands probably keeps $20 million away from the government, something like that. So that's pretty fun. So yeah, we're 98 days away from the end of the SBS airdrop, and so on the X Chaos front, it's looking like um, the card airdrops will go longer than the SBS airdrops. So we didn't know when we started this, exactly how that timeline would look, but that's what it's looking like at the moment, unless something crazy happens in the next 3 months, which is always possible. We do have big news this past week about nodes. We're going to talk about that and some of the math that's going on there, and there's been a decent movement in the market because of that. So and we'll get into all those numbers here in a little bit. I'm also the other half behind the team of the Venari Syndicate, so that is an actual investment fund that it's only available to U.S. accredited investors, people who are looking to place some funds and get exposure to play to earn assets. So we take their capital, we deploy it into the game, we rent out cards, and eventually we'll be renting out lands and nodes probably, and we are a cash flow plus with bonus appreciation kind of fund. So we are targeting high returns for our investors. And the reason you might care about that, because it's relatively few people who can actually invest, because we have got to do the whole verification thing. The reason you guys might care is that if you know somebody who is a large investor and accredited, which in the U.S. means making either $250,000 for the last 2 years, or has $1 million net worth outside of their home, outside their primary residence, then that qualifies. Or actually, there's actually a new rule that if you get your Series 65, which is your registered investment advisor, I used to have one of those, then you automatically qualify regardless of however much money you make and regardless of how much net value or net worth that you have. So that's actually an easy, well, I say easy, but it's an end run around all the other things. The interesting thing about the Series 65 is that it's a test put on by FINRA, which is the what does that stand for? Financial Regulatory Authority. And it's one of the few tests where you don't need a sponsor. You don't need somebody already in the industry to put you up for the test. So you can just take it on your own. And it's like 80 questions. I think that's what it was. But it's a lot of legal stuff about, like, do you understand what you can advise, individuals versus insurance companies versus whatever. And then some basic stock and options kind of trading stuff. So if you're a financial trader type person, it's not that hard to test. So you might want to look into that. But assuming you're not one of those people, then the reason you might care about the Venari Syndicate is that if you know one, you refer them over, you get a cut of our management fees for that investor. So worth thinking about. So that's so on XChaos, I'm partners with Gerber. On Venari Syndicate, I'm partners with Vedev. And Vedev's usually here. Let's see. I can't remember his Twitch name, but we'll see if he chimes in. And is my stream freezing? Yeah, I'm running this on an old laptop, so I'm constantly amazed that this works at all. but it does. It chugs along pretty okay. My mouse lags, but other than that, it's kind of okay. Okay, so that's me, so that's, why I think I know things about Splinterlands that's worth sharing. So let's talk about the big news. The big news, well, there's actually two big news. So big news number one is nodes. And I wanted to actually just kind of gloss over the actual post. Did I leave it up? I did. Okay. So this is the announcement post. Splinter Shards SPS Validator Node Overview and License Presale. You can tell Yabba wrote that and not aggroed. So SPS Validator Node software is currently in internal testing phase. and we hope to open up for public testing within the next few months, with the mainnet, quote unquote, plan to launch Q4 2022. This is important. Q4 2022 is the end of the year. So, anytime you're given a deadline by software people, you have to assume the worst. So Q4 2022 means probably Christmas, maybe January, hopefully not any later than February of 2023. So, just bake that into your expectations. We all saw what happened. Well, not all, but a lot of us saw what happened with lands. We were given one deadline that is completely blown out of the water. But we got SPS in the meantime, so kind of worked out. So in the meantime, we wanted to provide an overview of how the system will work, as well as to announce the upcoming sale of validator node licenses. And the licenses are, like Land Q4 2021, exactly. First and foremost, the SPS validator software will be 100% open source and available for anyone to download and run without any costs or restrictions. Open source, you can download it, you can run it on your own server, you can validate SPS transactions however you want. No limits there, which is nice. We expect that it'll have relatively minimal hardware requirements, and we plan to initially release it as a Docker container that can be run on Linux machines with Windows and Mac versions to follow. Exact system requirements and setup instructions will be provided as we get closer. Okay, so delegated proof of stake. So for those who just play the game, you might not know that Hive, which is the blockchain that Splinterlands operates on, works on a delegated proof of stake system. What that means is that you have stake. Stake is a familiar concept in crypto. You have coins, you lock them into a vault of some kind, and they are staked. And that gives you the right to do various things on the blockchain. So on Hive, you stake your Hive and it becomes Hive power. And that Hive power gives you the ability to do transactions on the blockchain. It also gives you the ability to make votes for witnesses on the blockchain. And the witnesses are the block validators, or a couple different terms out there. But they're the ones who sign every block, saying that these are the transactions that occurred within this block. And on Hive, it's every 3 seconds, and then they rotate out to another one. So delegated proof of stake is when you have delegated your stake to one of these block validators. So effectively, that's your voting system. So what they are saying here is that this SPS mainnet, whatever you want to call it, sidechain, whatever it's going to be, is going to work in the same way. And that's going to come into play here on some of our calculations, which we will soon. Hey, Omega. So that's going to come into play here in one of the pools that we're going to see here. So basically, they're just saying here that SPS validators are going to work on a similar type of system, delegated proof of stake. They don't go into the details, but I did ask during the AMA that, is it going to be a 20+1 system the same as Hive? And Agrid said probably. So we're going to go on that. So anybody can run the software, and then we have the licenses. So one potential issue with the above system is that there are only a relatively small number of accounts that will get the majority of the votes. And that is what we see across the board in all kinds of voting systems, whether it's EOS or Binance Smart Chain or Anchor, or not Anchor, Terra. It's always a Pareto thing. A small chunk of node operators or block validators or whatever you want to call them is going to get the lion's share of the votes. So in Hive, you can proxy your votes. If you do so, will this also count for Hive proposals? As I recall, no. Proxy votes do not count towards proposals, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a long time since I've actually done any proposal votes. So to counteract that concentration problem, what they're doing is they're making these licenses available for sale. So the software is free, the license is paid. And SPS validator node licenses will be purchasable with a combination of SPS tokens and voucher tokens based on the pricing schedule outlined below. 80% of the SPS tokens and 100% of the voucher tokens spent on node licenses will be burned. And the remaining 20% of SPS tokens will be put into the SPS Foundation, which is the DAO, and be reserved specifically to be used to continue incentivize to be used to continue to incentivize. That's a mouthful. SPS validator node operation when the 3 billion SPS token cap is reached after roughly 5 years. So 80% SPS burn, poof, sent to null, gone. And then the remaining 20% goes to the DAO. The DAO then sets that aside theoretically to pay for the validators after the emission schedule is completed. Now, problem with that is that it's not good, as far as I know anyway. The DAO could make a different decision, right? So they could come in and say, well, we have all this SPS here, and we're gonna do something else with it. We're gonna throw a party. It's Splinter Island. Who knows, right? Because the DAO can make whatever votes it wants to make in the future. It's sort of like you can't pass a law that prevents another law from being passed, because the people who pass the laws can pass a law to say they can pass the law. That's sort of recursive authority problem. So the licenses will be NFTs, which is good. That can be freely bought, sold, traded on secondary markets. So we do know Yaba has talked about how the node license system is largely based on Gala's nodes. Gala has a problem where, at least for now, you cannot sell your Gala node because it's tied to the account that you have. So it's an Ethereum-based account, and you could theoretically sell the account, but then you can't change the keys. So who's going to buy that and take that security risk? That's an issue. But as NFTs, you can buy, sell, maybe rent later on. All kinds of possibilities there. And let's see, system similar to structure for many other projects, which have been generally been very successful. And yeah, man, I kick myself constantly that I didn't buy those Gala notes. When I looked at them, they were 5,000 a piece. I was like, I could buy two, and then just kind of forgot about it. Now they're $80,000, And rewards. Rewards is what it's all about, right? That's the one reason to operate a node is to secure the SPS transactions in a decentralized manner. That's all great, but the incentive to do so is the rewards. Very few people do anything just out of the goodness of their hearts. So rewards are important. So there's going to be 3.75 million SPS tokens per month assigned or allocated to the rewards pool for SPS validator node operators. 10% of that, 375,000, is going to the block validators that receive the SPS votes. So in the voting system for that top 20, that's what I'm assuming for the time being, 375,000. The remainder, the 3,375,000 goes to just evenly to everybody. On top of that, there's going to be 20,000 vouchers per day. Spread out to everybody, all node operators. So the 20+1 model, the way it works on Hive is that so for every block there is there's 20 top voted witnesses, and then there's one extra. There's one random one that is selected from the remaining non-top 20, and that rotates in every 21 blocks, basically, on average. So what ends up happening is that the rewards for the witness operations on Hive get split up into 21 buckets, and the top 20 get 20 of those, and all the rest of them get to split the one. So it's really, really skewed. And if you're not in the top 20, it's not worthless to run a node, but it is. You're not making anywhere near what the top guys are. After we get through all this, then I'll show you how that works numbers wise. And they're only expecting 50 to 100 witnesses or node operators to do the politicking for the vote in order to get that. Because if it goes beyond that, then the reward for somebody outside of the top 20 is virtually zero. So it's not worth doing. So there's that built-in incentive limiter to keep that pool to be in that 50 to 100 range, which I think is probably reasonable. And but everybody else shares equally in the 3.375 million SPS remaining, and then the new vouchers of 20,000 per day will be allocated, created and allocated to SPS validator node license holders in order to provide further incentive for purchasing licenses and running nodes. It'll be equally per license to all holders that are actively running a validator node. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll get to that in just a second. So pricing. So we're going to have a pre-sale, and then we're going to have different tranches, or tranches. So pre-sale is 2,000 licenses, $1,000 each, plus 500 vouchers. And from tranche 1 through 7, the quantity scales up from 3 to 5 to 10,000. And the price scales up much, much faster. 3,000, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000, on up to 40,000 at tranche 7. And then the voucher discount rate. This is kind of a weird mechanism where you can get up to half off the price if you spend an equivalent number of vouchers at this voucher price rate. So we can get up to $1,500 off of SPS, or $1,500 of SPS discount. But in order to do that, we would have to spend, turns out, 500 vouchers. So because 500 times 3 is 1,500. So at the tranche 2, we can get $2,500 off. Again, it's going to be 500 vouchers at a effective cost of $5 a piece. 3,500, we need 3,750, and I'm just going to assume that's still going to be 500 vouchers, and 10,500 at $10. So every time you can spend up to $500 or 500 vouchers at the discount rate in order to get half off of the SPS cost. So this is a really interesting mechanism to pump up the cost of vouchers, basically. And Gip is saying, what do I think about the new voucher pool? It's contra to Aggie's staked time theory because it has nothing to do with SPS staked anymore. That is sort of true. So, currently, there's 20,000 vouchers per day that's distributed amongst all accounts that are staking SPS inside the game. And now we're getting a second pool. So we're doubling the voucher print rate, which, typically means that you're going to have the price, absent other market forces, because you're doubling supply. But it's not exactly that it's not SPS staked related, because effectively what you've done is you've staked SPS by burning it into the vouchers, or into the node validators. So it's not exactly the same kind of staking, but I would argue that it is related to staking. So, and it's still a function of SPS in the system. So that's my take on it anyway. So I don't see that as being contrary to the overall purpose of vouchers being a measurement of SPS inside the system. The form is definitely changing a bit. I would agree with you there. And then they say, so that's the pricing model. While the pre-sale phase may sell out rather quickly, we've structured the pricing model so that node licenses will be available for sale for many years to come, which translated means they don't expect these later tranches to sell anytime soon. And I think that is fair because, it's just not worth it. The incentives aren't there yet while the price of SPS is what it is and while the price of vouchers is what it is. So we can take a look at that here in just a second. Value to the ecosystem and the community, and there's only ever going to be 60,000 nodes. It does decentralize the an important function of the game. I don't know if you've heard, but the all the cool stuff is going to require SPS and vouchers going forward. So they've made that point multiple times. So we have this, the nodes, we have Rift Watchers coming up. We know that's going to be it priced only in SPS, and it's probably going to have vouchers too. But by creating this node system, it allows that element of the game, which is significant, that it allows that to be decentralized, which is part of their vision, Agrod and Yeva's vision to make a truly decentralized game. Oh, Agrod Light Hacker is here. Yeah, we have been told that all the cool stuff is going to require SPS and vouchers. So yes, Agrod is one of our illustrious founders who likes to drop in from time to time. Oh, he signed up just for me. That makes me feel good. I'm all warm and fuzzy inside. Uh, so yeah, this is an important and critical step, I would say, in order to decentralize that game in a real way. There's play to earn is a booming category of gaming, and everybody sells the idea that it's blockchain, it's decentralized, it's whatever. But decentralization is a spectrum, and on the one end you have like traditional gaming, like EA or whatever, having their own little server and controlling every aspect of it, bans and you own nothing and you'll be happy and all that kind of stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have, there is no central server. Everybody is running their own instance and they're all communicating amongst each other. Everybody owns their own different things and everything's coordinated through a protocol. So it's, Splinterlands is, it's still a central entity. There's Splinterlands, the company that is operating the servers, but it is taking steps to move towards that decentralized, ideal. And who knows if it'll ever get perfectly decentralized. I know of nothing in the world that is perfectly decentralized, but it is definitely farther along that path than any other game that I'm aware of. So, maybe there's some game out there that I don't know, but in terms of the big games, they do exist on blockchain for the most part, but they're still totally centrally operated. We saw a wave of banning from Axie a few months ago. Also with Axie, the Ronin chain, they got their hack recently. So there's systemic risks to centralized operations, and that's part of it. So Splinterlands is taking steps to get away from those centralized problems. We're not, like I said, it's not there perfectly, but this is an important step. So, what does that mean for the money? Because really, nobody's going to do this without the money. So let's see if I can get my hotkey correct. I think it's this one. Haha. Okay. No. Okay. So let's go to node models. So here is a little spreadsheet I put together. So here's the pricing model. The node operator pool is 3.375 million SPS per month. This is actually should be per day. Okay. So the question is, who's your competition, right? How much are you going to be? How many nodes are going to be competing for that pool? So, here I have the nodes being sold as 4,000. So pre-sale sells out, and 2/3 of tranche 1 sells out. In that case, if you are not part of that top 20 voted validators, then what you're getting is 8,400 SPS per month, and you're getting 5 vouchers a day. So let's call it 150 vouchers a month. How do I feel about Aggie and Matt building a Splinterlands island? I'm in favor of a Splinterlands island. So if 4,000 is the number, then and we have a voucher price of $3, then your pre-sale node cost is going to be 12,500, and your tranche 1 node cost without vouchers is going to be 15,000. So spending 12,500 SPS to make 8,000 SPS a month, in perpetuity, that's a no-brainer, because that ROI is ridiculous, right? So, that means that means it's likely that, and that's at a SPS price of 0.2. Right now we're at 0.12. That means that it's probably not, you know, the incentive is there for more people to buy. Now there are disincentives in that, you know, we have months and months to go before these payouts are live. So, you know, that's going to count against sales. I mean, just the price itself will count against sales because, you know, it's a lot of money. You know, $1,000 at a shot plus 500 vouchers, or $3,000, or 1,500 and 500 vouchers. You know, it's whatever it comes down to is it's gonna be expensive. So, you know, that's going to limit the number of sales. But, you know, and then as we go up in nodes, the share of the monthly pool is going to decrease. So at 5,000, each node is earning 6,750 SPS per month. And if SPS price goes up, well, let's just take current prices, right? So we're at like $1.90 and 12 cents. So it would be 16,250 SPS in cost for pre-sale, or 25,000 in tranche 1, and then you would get 67.50 a month. So at that point, you know, not as attractive, right? So, you know, something, you know, I tend to doubt that if those numbers remain where they are, that it will be 5,000 selling. At that number, I don't think we'll get through pre-sale and tranche 1. Pre-sale, sure, probably. But then as the price of SPS goes up, you know, if this becomes 50 cents and vouchers go up to $3, now it's 5,000 SPS to get 67.50 SPS per month and 4 vouchers a day. And each of those vouchers is worth 6 SPS, so that's another 24 a day in SPS terms. So, you know, it's a balancing game, right? And we don't know what the numbers are. That's the main thing. So what is SPS going to be once they become on sale? What is the price of vouchers going to be? So by having this voucher discount at $3, they're kind of targeting this arbitrage opportunity at these price points. So they're looking for vouchers to appreciate over time, because if the voucher price is under $3 during tranche 1, then it makes sense to buy up some of those vouchers, use them for a discount, and make that spread between the current market price and that $3 credit. So, you know, I think there's going to be enough activity, and the voucher liquidity is small enough that it will move that price around significantly, and will basically arbitrage away whatever these prices are. That's assuming that there is enough incentive to buy a node at all, right? So, so if people are interested in buying in tranche 2, then voucher prices are pretty much going to be $5. If people are, you know, later, you know, a year down the road, if people are interested in buying tranche 5, then vouchers are going to be $15 because the arbitrage forces will compress that spread. So it all comes down to, you know, what's the price of SPS, because that's the driver of the whole thing. So if you guys tuned in last week, we talked a little bit about SPS inflation, and let's see, where did I put that? That's this thing. So so this was the list I had going on last week. I prettied it up a little bit, and I made some charts. So we are here, and what this is a chart of the monthly inflation in SPS, and we are right at this corner because April, the private sale inflation is ending, and then, you know, in 2 months or I guess 3 months, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, the airdrop is ending. So then we're looking at a cliff in SPS inflation. It's basically being cut in half over this next month. So, you know, we're going to have a pretty decent supply shock, and the amount of selling that goes into the market on a daily basis is going to cut way down. So any demand that there is, like, say, nodes, should drive the price up. And in fact, we saw the price bump up 25% basically immediately. And then I refigured the chart that's on the SPS white paper, given the delays that we've had in the pools being spread out, and we are here, right? We're right at this bend uh, in the chart right there. So so assuming that people do end up wanting to buy nodes, then that should push up prices nicely. Now, caveat against that is that there's a lot of SPS already in the system that's kind of just sitting there. So that will be consumed first, and then marginal SPS will be bought and consumed. And that 80% being burned and 20% going to the DAO. That for the time being, the money going to the DAO is effectively gone. Because the DAO is not functional yet. There's no governance voting mechanisms. So for now, we can just count that as off the market. So I would say that's all bullish. I am a fan, and so what is the price of SPS going to be? I don't know, but I think it's going to be pressured higher, and I think vouchers are going to be pressured up to $3. Right now the vouchers are at about $1.90, and that's been fairly steady over the last few days. So they were basically $1 before the note announcement, and now they doubled effectively. And yeah, that actually leads me into my ecosystem of value. So I did my weekly snapshot of all things Splinterlands. Packs, plots, totems, DEC, SPS, vouchers. You see, voucher went from $1.08 last week to $1.93 right now. And then card values, and what do we have? Basically, we went from 250 million market cap up to like 280. And I was just doing this just before the show, where this chart is inserting the dates that I don't have, which is super annoying. Yeah, total value 208. Let's call it 290 million. Vouchers are up 92%. SPS is up 27%. Common totem. Somebody went on a buying spree, and those are up 38%. So this alpha market value, these are alpha cards. I think I took the bid number last week instead of the market value, so I think that's why that's off. But everything's up a little bit, except for dice, chaos packs, and plots, and yeah. So those three things are the only things that are down slightly, but everything else is up, and some of them up significantly. So forgot how much I've missed listening to Neil do math. Yeah, a big part of my life is math, so that's what I do. So you can see here that this gray bar, that's the SPS portion that went up quite a bit, and yeah, the alpha that kind of skews everything. I think this was about $10 million tire, so maybe 260 to 290, something like that. But it's a decent chunk. I've been really surprised at how small a market cap vouchers have. It seems like there's as much as you want to buy out there, because we have those liquidity pools on Hive Engine or Tribal Decks, the diesel pools, but it's a really small number. So that's easy to push around. 1.2 million up to 2.3 million. So that will be pushed around as we approach those arbitrage dates, with the pre-sale selling out. And then basically from then on, there is a potential arbitrage if you want to buy a node. So there's going to be strong pressure to move that to $3. So if you're a betting man or woman or a betting they, then, you might bet on a price rise from $2 to $3 over the next month or two or three, which is, not terrible. It's a 50% bump. Arbitrage. What is arbitrage? So arbitrage is when you have a market item and there's multiple markets for it with different prices. So in this case, we have vouchers available for sale on the market right now. They're at $1.90 something, $1.93, and you can then spend them on nodes at a $3 price. So if you can buy something at $1.90 and spend it at $3, that's $1.10 profit in your pocket. So that's makes sense to do, right? Assuming that you're interested in that transaction. So as people buy up the vouchers, that market price will go up and up and up and up, and and eventually approach the same price as that other market. And that's arbitrage, is that process of bringing prices together in trade. So in this case, the $3 price is not moving because that's just the stated valuation from Splinterlands. So the only thing that can move is the market price in the diesel pools. So that should be pressured up towards that $3 level. And Agrode has a... oh, let me Google that for you. That's a good question, though. What is arbitrage? And I know I've missed a bunch of comments and questions because it's hard to talk and read at the same time. But I will try to loop back here. So the bottom line is that there is new demand for SPS. There is new demand for vouchers. Vouchers are very limited. They're much more able to be pushed up in market price. I think we'll see those go up towards that $3 mark as I don't think the presale will last more than 10 minutes because there's enough whale interest in order to take out those 2,000 presale nodes. Whether we sell through tranche 1 or not, I think that's more iffy. But we'll definitely sell a decent chunk of them. So we'll see how that goes. So I think voucher pressure is going to be high, SPS pressure is going to be medium, and then once the market has found an equilibrium price where the value of spending the SPS and vouchers is not desirable enough and sales slow down, then I think we'll see that buying pressure ease off on both of those. So that is kind of my take on the whole node thing, and from 6 viewers to 36, a solid 6x, absolutely. So that's assuming the new promo card will not be released in the meantime. Yeah, well, there's all kinds of things that could happen in the meantime, right? There's lots of stuff going on. I think from the vibe I'm getting from Agrode and Yaba that we'll get node sale before Rift Watchers, but it probably won't be that far off. Maybe a month or something like that. So yeah, I mean it's all bullish for me. It's what it comes down to. And I know that people have been complaining about the price of SPS, because we saw that giant market spike and then it's just been grinding down over time. So I think this is a nice turning point, and it seems like 10 cents is about the bottom on SPS. It's cheap enough that people are willing to trade other currencies for SPS, and to counteract that inflation. And we're getting those inflation cuts coming in here, now basically over the next couple of weeks. And so I think the bottom is in. I could always be wrong, but that's my feeling on the subject. We got more demand, more utility, less supply. That means prices go up usually. So I'm optimistic and I'm excited. And I've been stacking SPS as much as I can over the past several months. So I would love to see the SPS price go up. I want to know the same. Give us financial advice. Even if I were a financial advisor, I'm not your financial advisor. So I can't reign forever. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm bullish on all these developments here coming out. And then obviously my big thing has always been lands. I think I still stand by lands have a 10x inside of them once they are live and tradable on Ethereum. It's an important element because the whales who love land NFTs are all on Ethereum. So we need to have that bridge operational, the OpenSea collection functional again, and all that kind of stuff. Do I have any SPS DEC LP positions? Yes, I do. I have about 3% of that pool. So I have a significant position there. But yeah, I have a bunch staked, and in fact, you saw my million SPS account. I've got another account that has more, or not more, but has additional. And then I've got the SPS pool for DEC. So I'm right around 2 million SPS. Something like that, and it varies, depending on the LP position and the ratio of SPS to DEC. But yeah, if SPS went to $3, I would be very happy. So that's kind of where I am. And let's see, we got the inflation chart, we got the cumulative SPS. So let me for the notes, I just want to take outside money, so I don't need to worry about SPS prices. But now it seems like a bad nodes. Yeah, now it seems like a bad move. Yeah, the problem with outside money for nodes is that we're going to have a lengthy delay, so it's going to be dead money for several months, and you have to bake that into your expectations. So so just be aware of that. That we're looking at minimum 6 months of idle time, and then hopefully everything kicks in afterwards. So I just wanted to scroll back. We got about 15 minutes left in the show. Let's see. Go back. You guys talked a lot. Let's see. New. Okay. So you get points for using different card types like Alpha Beta for Wild. You'll have to focus. I think that was from the previous stream. Yeah. Okay. So then we have. Yeah, we were talking about proxy votes. Aggroed came in, and Gip says my show is worth it. I appreciate that. So Agrod's glad the show is back. Michael's glad the show is back. Yeah, so Uniqum's thinking I'll do tranche one and just keep my voucher. So yeah, it's interesting. It depends on what your expectations are of SPS pricing, because so right now we're at 12 cents, right? So and we're at $1.93 of vouchers. So at current prices, a pre-sale node is going to cost 16,375 SPS. And that, if SPS stays the same and vouchers spike up to, a high price, $3, $4, then it's absolutely worth waiting for tranche one. But in the meantime, SPS price could change, right? So, there's always going to be that uncertainty as to what the future price that you're going to be spending at is going to be. So, there's definitely a case to be made that tranche one is actually going to be cheaper than pre-sale. So I have been looking at that as well. It's worth thinking about, I guess. But you have to make your models and make your expectations as to what those future prices are going to be. If we see vouchers above $3, then I think waiting is for tranche one is going to be the right move. Just because we have the arbitrage amounts pegged at $3 for tranche one. And I could easily see a situation where people, just pile in and say, "Oh, I got to buy vouchers," and then go nuts. So there are a few people who have stacked massive amounts of vouchers, and obviously they won't have to buy any, but most people will have to buy some. So Omega's asking Aggie about baby names. After seeing the Axie DAO hack, do you think Spinnerland should have to approve all dollar transactions to verify they are legit? I don't think that's feasible. So, or maybe large dollar transactions, yeah, I still don't think that's feasible. And maybe Agro can talk on an AMA about how that can't work and still, because the fundamental thing with blockchain is that everything is discretely owned, right? So, you can't limit the ability to transfer an NFT or a fungible token, either one, and still retain full ownership rights to it. So I don't think that's going to work any way you cut it. There are in what's the polite word, in low value altcoins. It's the most polite version I can think of. There are contracts that have blacklists and whitelists and things like that, but that's not something that I think any legitimate project wants to go down towards, because if you're always at the mercy of that centralized entity, then you're always at the mercy of that centralized entity. So and that makes everything far less attractive. So for Splinternet specifically, I don't see them entertaining anything like that. The uh, not your keys, not your crypto. Also, your keys, your crypto. So it's the converse or inverse or whatever. Um, if you have a if you have a security vulnerability, then that's just there. So, I recommend following really strong security practices on your own. And obviously, the team is going to do their best to eliminate any security vectors or attack vectors on the contract side. So, yeah, I don't think that we'll see any kind of limitations on trading of any kind. Um, and I don't know the specifics as to what happened with the Axie. What was it 600 million, 675 million, something like that? I don't know exactly what the attack vector was. I have not studied it, but it's interesting that Binance is saying that they're gonna, that they are, covering the losses for everybody, which is an interesting position for Binance to take. I guess Axie is pretty important to them. So, um, we need the spreadsheets. Yes, these are the famous spreadsheets. Sometimes my nickname in the Discord is is McSheets, but Rondon renamed me Two Koofs because I was coughing like a madman while I had COVID. And nodes are going to be great. This is Sean. Nodes are going to be great for those who can get them. I only have 2.5 vouchers, so I won't be able to. Yeah, that's a problem. Now, in Tranche 2, you don't need the vouchers. You can just spend the $3,000. So, that is an option. And will be fun to see how those licenses move in the non-card market. Yes. So, it's going to be another thing to add to the ecosystem value, right? And having them being tradable is going to be great. And I think we'll see. There's going to be people who buy these node licenses and don't want to operate a node, even though it's relatively easy in the world of technology anyway. Relatively, you buy a server, from DigitalOcean or Privix or one of those, and you run this thing. That's kind of it. So. You do need a minimum of technical chops, but it's pretty low. Even I could do it, even though I'm going to probably have Gerber do it. So sale is in May. Yes, that's my understanding. Sale is targeted for May. And then, they said in the article, we're going to have actual operations in Q4. So calling it December. And yes, Agro joined in. Buy 2 nodes, get a free trip to Splinter Island. I like it. I'm the voice of reason. Okay. I try to look at things, from the numbers as you can see. But let's see. That pause due to scroll, so let me catch back up. UniQ, I'm saying scared. I've got too much in the DEC SPS pool. Love to get your thoughts on the pool for the next 100 days. Well, yeah. So the price of DEC is probably going to decline back down to around the par value of 1,000 splintoshis. So as that decline happens, then your share of DEC in that liquidity pool is going to grow because you're selling your SPS for DEC inside the liquidity pool, and that should be somewhat counteracted by the growth in SPS airdrop for the next 100 days. Because as that portion of the pool grows, then you get double points in airdrop. So when DEC was super high, then that was a much bigger risk. But here we're looking at DEC's at like 1,600 splintoshis, so we're looking at a 35% decline, something like that, from here going forward. And I don't think it will go too much the other way. So I think that's kind of the expected value of the risk. And then, but as it goes down, then you get the SPS airdrop. So I think it'll somewhat counterbalance each other. I don't know if it'll come out ahead or not. It depends on the price of SPS during that time. So You know, if it makes you uncomfortable, I'm a big fan of the sleep at night test. If it keeps you up at night, it's too much. If it doesn't keep you up at night, then it's okay. That's a good way to gauge risk in my experience. Um, yeah, we definitely have picked up a few more viewers now that we have Splitterlands TV. Uh, definitely a good thing. Get your SPS vouchers while they are cheap. Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway. Personally, that's what I'm doing. I'm stacking all my SPS. I get a decent airdrop every day, and it all goes into. Well, lately I've been putting in the DEC pool, but it's all being kept in preparation. All my vouchers. So before the announcement, I was selling my vouchers for SPS and then staking the SPS to get more vouchers, and that worked out okay. But I definitely think I would have done better if I just held the vouchers, because the earnings per staked SPS in terms of vouchers is fairly low at this point. In the beginning of staking, obviously it was way more, because there was less competition. But now there's so much SPS staked that that it is hard to make that math work. And let's see. I'm a land holder, so I think I could take 6 months. Oh, it's rough. It has been rough. Waiting for land. Waiting. Is going to be a limit to how many nodes an account can buy in the presale. Well, I believe the limit is just going to be manual action. So they said it's going to be like the Waka sale, where you got to press a button and they're not pre-publishing the API code for how to do it. So it's going to be up to people to press buttons to buy, press button to buy, press button to buy. So you're going to be in manual competition with everybody as far as getting those pre-sale amounts. So that's the only limit. Agro's asking. Otemishan is glad the show is back. Appreciate it. Agro's asking, he talking about tax implications in the USA for buying nodes. Well, we got 2 minutes left, so why not? Let me see if there's anything else shorter. I've looked at buying private islands. It's not my highest priority, but it's up there. Okay. Bubkey is hogging all the vouchers. Bubkey is hogging all the vouchers. That is for sure. Agro is going to have a theme park on Splinter Islands. That's pretty good. Owning a node license doesn't generate income, does it? Yes, it does. Well, let's look at the wording there. If you own the license but not operate, I don't think that earns anything. That's a good question for Matt. Can't wait to use my staked SPS to get a free room on Splinter Island. Yes. And Cyber had the idea that if you have 100,000 SPS staked, you get a free... Okay, people still buy on Splinter Island. You have to have the node running. J-Ron is answering the previous question. You have to have the node running to get the reward pool. And Jimmy's saying Agro implied something similar, which would make it more profitable to start early. Well, yeah, everything, right? First mover advantage is significant. So, so definitely buy early, stake early. Agro promises not to blacklist me. I appreciate that. Let's see. After the Axie hack, same question. Yes. Only 9 validators for Ronin. 5 were compromised. Binance was Axie's AXS launching pad, I believe. Yeah, 9's not a lot. That's kind of a problem. But hopefully with our system here that Matt is developing, we'll have a lot more than 9. I would not be surprised to see 1,000 discrete actual servers, and then multiple thousands staked licenses on top of those. But that actually brings us to the end of the show, and I appreciate everybody for coming. I know I missed the last few items here in the chat, but I talked a lot, so so that's what it is. So thanks everybody. Stay tuned. Dave is up next, and keep on keeping on. We'll see you next week.